Today we're talking about the right amount of weight for your backpack. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan. I love hiking, I love backpacking, I love gear. If you guys love that stuff too, would you consider subscribing to the channel? That's what the channel's all about. Today, we're going to talk about the right amount of weight for your backpack. Backpacking, it can cost a lot of money. You think about it. I mean, all that ultralight gear, all the stuff companies are trying to sell you, and then people come up with new gear that you need, and you better buy it or you're going to have a miserable experience. And it just adds a lot of questions and a lot of debate to the whole ultralight question, lightweight question. What is ultralight? I've never even heard of ultralight. Well, let me just kind of walk through what ultralight is, sort of. First of all, there's no committee of backpackers that's out there that determines what ultralight is. What's commonly accepted is anything under 10 pounds of base weight. In other words, all the stuff inside of your backpack, except your food, except your water, and except your fuel, should weigh less than 10 pounds. Now, is that true? I don't know. I mean, I suppose we can commonly consider that as ultralight, but I'm sure 20 or 30 years ago, guys were 30 pounds is ultralight or 40 pounds is ultralight. And as technology progresses and as gear gets lighter and people figure out more fabrics and different types of things to make gear out of and different ways to make it lighter and that kind of thing, that base weight number is going to commonly drop, and soon enough 10 pounds is going to be like, oh no, you brought 10 pounds, that's terrible. Just throw that out the window, because today we're really just going to talk about what's the right amount of weight for you. What's the right amount of weight on your trip? What are you wanting to do on your backpacking adventures and your experiences? And hopefully we'll determine and kind of help you decide what's the right amount of weight for you. So as I thought about this, I kind of came up with 3 questions that I think we should all kind of ask ourselves to help determine what's the right amount of weight for our backpacking trip. So the first question is, number 1, what kind of backpacking are you going to be doing? I mean, the vast majority of people out there are going to be just going on that weekend trip. Maybe it's once a year, maybe it's every other year, maybe you're lucky and you get to go out a couple times a year, but it's just a weekend trip. I mean, we've all got lives, we've got schedules, we've got work, we've got family, we've got other obligations. Maybe some of you guys are lucky enough that you have less obligations. Maybe you're the single guy or the single girl that just kind of gets out all the time, and that's awesome. Good for you. That's not me, man. I got 3 kids. 3! But I love them and I bring them backpacking. I swear. So maybe you're the weekend guy, or maybe you're the section hiker. Maybe you're the guy that wants to complete that whole big trail, but you're going to do it in short sections because that's the time you've got. You got to work. You can't take off 6 months to through hike the Appalachian Trail or 4 months or whatever it's going to take you, but you're able to take out and carve out just small sections of your life to section hike a trail. Or maybe you're the through hiker. Maybe you do have that luxury to hike that Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, whatever it is. Maybe you have that luxury to do that and you're planning on those types of hikes. Every one of those hikes is going to be a completely different setup for you. If you're a weekend hiker, you're not going to be doing what's called resupplying, where you just kind of hike to the next area or town or hiker box or something, and there's supplies there that you can get, or maybe you shipped yourself some packages or whatever you did, but you're not going to be resupplying. In other words, you're going to end your trip. You're going to go home. Maybe you're the section hiker and you can still do that sort of weekend trip thing, but you're going to maybe extend it a little longer. Maybe you're able to hike 4 or 5 days at a time, or maybe you are resupplying, so you're not going to carry as much gear. Maybe you are going to carry lighter gear because you're going to hike longer, faster, and harder. So I would say this: if you're a weekend hiker, and I'm going to assume that's most of you out there, carrying a little bit of comfort isn't going to hurt you. It's okay. And I know that there are a ton of channels out there telling you to ultralight backpack and telling you that you shouldn't be carrying heavy gear. And I myself, one of the most popular videos that I did was a video telling you how to lighten your pack. I will link it right here. And I firmly believe how important it is to make sure that you lighten up your load as much as you can, because it is going to give you a more comfortable hiking trip. So if you're just planning on weekend hiking, don't worry about that 10-pound base weight. I mean, obviously, maybe it's something to shoot for, but for just the weekend thing and you're just kind of going out and having a fun time with friends and family, it's really not that big of a deal to carry a couple extra items. If you're section hiking, obviously you want to be a little bit more tuned in on the amount of weight that you're carrying. If you're through hiking, yeah, I would say 10 pounds is a good weight to shoot for at least. A lot of guys are going less than that, but that's going to give you the ability to do exactly what you need to do and get to where you need to go and get to that next town or campsite or whatever you got to get to and get there efficiently. Disclaimer, I am more of a weekend hiker. I'm not really even a section hiker. I've never through hiked really anything. I sort of through hiked, I guess, Pictured Rocks Trail. That's a 42-mile trail. I did that over, I think, 3 days last October, but you know, that's not really a through hike. It was just sort of a section hike of the North Country Trail, which stretches a huge amount of miles. So I'm really a weekend hiker, just like the majority of you guys watching these videos. So that leads me to my second question. Number 2, what kind of shape are you in? If you're a heavier individual, likely lightweight is going to be better for you. Maybe you are going to want to shoot for a much lower base weight. It's going to be difficult for you in some areas. If you're an athletic build, or maybe you work out, or maybe you're just not that heavy of an individual, maybe you can carry more stuff. What's your medical history like? Are you prone to seizures? I don't know. Are you, do you get lightheaded quickly? Do you get elevation sickness? I mean, there's a lot of different questions that you should ask yourself about the shape that you're in, and that can also help you determine what kind of weight you're able to carry. And what if you're backpacking in a group? If you're a weekend backpacking group, you're normally going to stick together. I mean, I know that there's times where maybe the faster hikers will kind of go off ahead and get to camp early, but in most situations, I think people are kind of group backpacking, and you're going to want to hike as fast and as far as the person who is in the least amount of shape and maybe carried the heaviest gear in your group. So you got to take all those things into consideration to, you know, what kind of shape are you in? What kind of shape is the group in? And the third question I think that we all should really ask ourselves is, are the miles important to you? Are you guys backpacking because you want to hike as many miles as you can in a day? And that's totally fine. There's times where I've done that. I just wanted to kind of see how far I could go. Or are you hiking just to hike? Maybe you are a photographer, maybe you are a YouTuber, maybe you just want to bird watch, and you're going to stop frequently and you're going to want to spend a lot of time doing that. So maybe hiking the miles isn't that big a deal. Maybe you're like me and you hike with your kids often. I just came back from a weekend trip with my daughter this past weekend, and we didn't hike a ton of miles. We hiked over the weekend about 12 miles. We went with a friend of ours and his daughter as well, and we had a great time. But we weren't really focused on miles. We were focused on the experience, the time spent with our kids, the campsite, and just the stops along the way. And I was obviously YouTubing the trip. I'll post that sometime soon for you guys, but it was just something that that sort of determined the type of trip that we were going to have. Maybe you're the type of person that just likes to get to that backcountry campsite and use all your cool gear that you bought. Maybe you're the type of person that just likes to hang out around the fire. Or maybe you're the camp chef and you're the type of person that loves to cook those amazing camp meals for everyone. So maybe the miles really aren't that important for you. Or where are you hiking during those miles? Are you hiking high elevation areas? Are you hiking in different weather conditions? Are you hiking in an area where you can backcountry camp anywhere? Or are you hiking in an area where you have to camp at designated sites? All of that is going to play a part in whether the miles are going to be important to you. And don't forget about the weather. Is it the cold season? Is it rainy? If the weather is beautiful, that typically means that you're going to bring less gear. So to sort of sum all things up for you guys, I'll just kind of give you my experience. I truly evolved over time. When I first started backpacking, it was my goal to get as light as I possibly could. And I definitely made some mistakes along the way because I bought things that were just too light and they didn't provide me with the comfort in some areas that I really needed. In the last video that I posted just last week, I talked about the quilt, my 15-ounce quilt that was a 40-degree quilt that wasn't warm enough. So I ended up having to buy a heavier quilt, all because I was more concerned about weight than I was comfort. So I know there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that you got to get to a certain base weight or you got to get that lightest thing possible, or they may even look at you and tell you that you're not really a backpacker because your pack is too heavy or you bought the wrong backpack. Throw all that stuff out the window. Enjoy your own hike, hike your own hike, and do the best that you can with the gear that you've got, the gear that you can afford, and the situation that you're in, to just get out there and have a blast in the backcountry and enjoy God's amazing creation. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe for more, and make sure you hit the bell notification so that I can send you a video every time it's released. And I will see you on the next one.